Hello everyone, welcome back to 3 News Now. Today is Wednesday, November 24th. I'm Stephanie Haney. Thank you for being here for the top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. We start off with national news today about another trial that everyone has been paying attention to across the country. A verdict is in the trial for the killing of Ahmaud Arbery, and the jury returned a guilty verdict against all 3 white men who killed 25-year-old Ahmaud Arbery, who was a black man. Travis McMichael, his father Greg McMichael, and William Roddy Bryan have all been found guilty of killing Ahmaud Arbery. There were 27 total charges. Each of those men faced 9 charges. They were identical charges for each of them: malice murder, 4 counts of felony murder, 2 counts of aggravated assault, false imprisonment, and criminal attempt charges. The men were found guilty on all but 4 charges, but the result is the same because of the way the laws are written in Georgia. All of the men now face life sentences. Plus, federal authorities have also announced charges will be coming. The McMichaels, father and son, long claimed that they were chasing Ahmaud Arbery because they suspected him of burglary, though there was no evidence that he had done anything of that nature in that neighborhood. It took a long time for this case to even have charges be brought in the case, months after Ahmaud Arbery's killing, and it wasn't until the Georgia Bureau of Investigations got involved that the 3 men were arrested. Travis McMichael, the person who shot Ahmaud Arbery, was convicted of all charges. His father, Greg McMichael, was found not guilty of malice murder, but guilty of 4 counts of felony murder and 4 additional felony counts. And William Roddy Bryan, who filmed part of the killing, he was found not guilty of malice murder, not guilty of 1 count of felony murder, and not guilty of 1 felony aggravated assault count. But he was convicted of 3 felony murder counts and 3 additional felony counts. Now, this verdict wraps up the murder trial charges at the state level, but all 3 of the men are now facing federal charges. Those include attempted kidnapping and interference with rights. That trial is set for 2022, and we await the sentencing in the state trial of these 3 men who, again, have been found guilty of the killing of Ahmaud Arbery. We turn now to a very different type of story. It's a reunion story, but it is rooted in tragedy. 75 years ago, a woman and one of her children, a toddler at the time, were separated at Auschwitz, at a concentration camp. They were captured by Nazis in Poland during World War II, and they were taken to Auschwitz, and that's where they separated. Now, they survived, but that mother and that daughter were never reunited. The mother then emigrated to America with her husband and 2 daughters, Dina and Jean, and that family settled in Canton, Ohio. The daughter, who was separated from her mother, that daughter's name, Eva, she was adopted and raised in the United Kingdom. They lived separate lives across the world. Dora spent the rest of her life searching for Eva. She did pass away, but her daughters promised to keep up the search, and they were reunited. And our Lindsay Buckingham has that story. You can find that on WKYC.com. A truly beautiful moment sprung out of terrible tragedy. Now let's take a look at the latest COVID-19 numbers in from the Ohio Department of Health. In the last day, another big number of new reported cases, 6,751 to be exact. And right now there are 3,337 people who are being treated in the hospital for COVID-19, and out of that group of people, 919 of them are being treated in an intensive care unit. Those numbers both up from yesterday. Now, we know last year lots of places were closed on Thanksgiving due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and for multiple reasons, places are keeping that going this year. We do know that Target will be closed on Thanksgiving permanently moving forward. They found it actually is better for them to spread out their sales from a sales standpoint over multiple days versus kicking off that holiday shopping on Thanksgiving, on the Black Friday before the holiday season begins. So we have the rundown of who will be open and who will be closed this season. Just a handful of big name stores will be open. We're talking your Big Lots, your CVS, Dollar General, Kroger, Walgreens, Whole Foods. We've got the details on those hours and what you need to know on WKYC.com. And we've got the long list of places that will be closed tomorrow on Thanksgiving. So if you have to do any last-minute shopping, make sure you check that list, or at least call the place where you're trying to go before you head out there. And with it being Wednesday, yes, it is Thanksgiving Eve, but it is also Wednesday, and we have a tradition here on Wednesdays of giving you your midweek good news break. The show is called It's All Good News, and it drops every Wednesday at 1 p.m. on the WKYC YouTube page. This week is no different, and we have some very cool Thanksgiving-themed stories in for you there this week, including 2 teens out of Fairless High School, back near my old stomping grounds. That's down in Stark County, and they will be performing in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. They auditioned. They're 2 of 185 people who will be in the Macy's Great American Marching Band, which you can watch, by the way, right here on Channel 3. That's just one of those stories. You'll get to see how they're feeling about that and what their band director has to say about encouraging them to get to New York City and to audition to have this great honor. Also, big surprise for a server. We love to see those stories, and we have the story of a Thanksgiving reunion that sprung out of a mistaken text message. This is a very cool story, too. So make sure you check that out. The Good News show, it's called It's All Good News on the WKYC.com YouTube page. You can also find it on WKYC.com. Now, if you are a fan of The Bachelorette, you may have noticed that one of our Ohio guys had made it pretty far into the running this time. You know, we've had a lot of Ohio people on The Bachelorette as of lately. Last season for Katie Thurston, we had Michael Allio out of Akron. Earlier this season with Michelle Young, Spencer Williams was on there, and Rick Leach Jr. as well, graduate of Walsh University, also near my old stomping grounds down in the Canton area. That's in North Canton. Well, he was one of the men who was sent home this week. So there were 8 men left. Now it's down to 4. Rick Leach Jr. has said his goodbyes. So we have the recap of exactly how that went down on a farm-themed date. I will tell you what, these guys have had some interesting dates, if nothing else, on this season of The Bachelorette. And stay tuned, because I'll be talking with Rick Leach Jr. on my 3 Things to Know podcast next week about his experience, what he can tell us about the behind the scenes, what he's been doing since the show wrapped, and maybe if we'll get an opportunity to see him in the future, maybe on Bachelor in Paradise. Also, we'll talk a little bit with him about his experience with Spencer Williams, because Spencer told us when he was on the podcast that those 2 were roommates. Now, bringing it back here to Northeast Ohio, good news out of the Cleveland Browns camp. Running back Kareem Hunt and offensive tackle Jack Conklin will return to practice today, and they could potentially play against the Baltimore Ravens. This is a big deal. It will be wonderful to have that 1-2 punch with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt back on the field. Great to have Jack Conklin back on the field as well, helping that offensive line move along. And it's been quite some time since we've had Kareem Hunt on the field. He's been out for 5 games with a calf injury, so Baker Mayfield has had one less person to target, trying to score those points. Cleveland scored 17 points or fewer in 4 of the 5 games that Kareem Hunt was out. Conklin has been out for the past 3 games with an elbow injury. His replacement, Blake Hance, has played more on the inside, and it's been a little bit of struggle for Blake Hance. So we will hopefully see them on the field on Sunday against the Baltimore Ravens, and then there will be a rest week, and then the Browns will take on the Ravens again. And in that rest week, the Ravens will take on the Steelers, and hopefully this is the start of a 3-game losing streak for the Ravens, who currently lead the AFC North. But looking more to the future, the Cleveland Browns will be hosting the Las Vegas Raiders at home at 4:30 p.m. on Saturday, December 18th. So they will have the National Football Stage to themselves. The date for that game had previously been unannounced, and they have the ability to flex it. And with the Raiders and the Browns in the playoff contention spots, it'll be an interesting game to see for sure at that point. So that'll be at 4:30 p.m. on Saturday, December 18th, and that will be right here in Cleveland at First Energy Stadium. Now, if you're a Cedar Point fan and you like to stay overnight when you go there, listen to this. There's an update on renovations at the Sawmill Creek Resort property. It's about 10 minutes down the road from Cedar Point on Cleveland Road. And Tony Clark, the representative for Cedar Point, says that the renovations are underway even though the park is closed. It will be open to guests in 2022. That's their plan, at least. And Clark says that one of the coolest parts of the property is this circular atrium with a glass ceiling. It creates these beautiful beams of natural light. That'll be wonderful to see. He said the food options are getting an upgrade. No menu available just yet, though. They will be debuting, according to what the park previously said, fully renovated guest rooms, dining options, golf course upgrades, outdoor amenities, and enhanced convention and meeting space. So if you're interested in that, that will be open in 2022. And something that is a little bit closer to us are the Magic of Lights. That's returning to the Cuyahoga County Fairgrounds for this holiday season. They have the latest LED technology and digital animations, I'm told, and it's supposed to be quite the show. You can drive through your car with your car. It starts today, Thanksgiving Eve, November 24th. It goes through January 2nd, and it is open Sunday through Saturday, so 7 days a week from 5:30 to 10 p.m. You pay per car, and it's a little bit cheaper between now and December 9th. Between December 10th and January 2nd, the price goes up just a little bit. If you buy the tickets in advance, it's also a little bit cheaper. If you buy the tickets at the gate, they go up. They're $30 for the weekdays in that early part, $35 on the weekend, and then as we get into December 10th, mid-December, they're $35 on the weekday, $40 on the weekend. But if you buy them in advance, the most they are is the $26 if you buy that ticket in advance for your carload. So big savings if you buy it in advance. Again, we've got that link to do that on WKYC.com. That's it for your 3 News Now update today for Wednesday, November 24th. Barring any major updates we need to bring you, we likely will not have an episode of 3 News Now for you tomorrow. So I hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving. Enjoy your holiday, and I'll see you back here on Friday to send you off to your weekend on a great start with more 3 News Now.